Canadians facing insurmountable struggles are turning to alternate forms of medical treatment in South America. These people include those suffering from depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and heroin addiction, among countless other ailments. According to the Public Health Agency of Canada, over 70% of Canadians regularly use complementary and alternative healthcare therapies. In this video, we will be exploring the emerging tourism trend of ayahuasca therapy happening in the Amazon basin of South America. These retreats are becoming increasingly popular with Westerners, and it has been noted that 60% of people who undergo extensive, multi-month treatments remain drug-free years later. We will be meeting 3 people who can attest to the success and viability of such treatments.
First, we will meet a former heroin addict who has successfully beaten her life-threatening addiction with the help of ayahuasca. Then a Peruvian shaman who runs a popular retreat in the jungle town of Iquitos. And finally, a Canadian doctor who is a proponent of using the hallucinogenic brew to aid in her patients' recovery. The opportunities for medical tourism and alternative healing continue to grow. Ayahuasca treatments are available ranging anywhere from $100 for a single ceremony to $1,100 per week to $3,500 per month, depending on the desired duration, complementary therapies, and personal outcomes. Now, let us explore the Vine of the Souls.
I decided to travel to Peru because when I was a little girl, I was abused for a few years by a family friend, and I never really properly recovered from that trauma. So as I got older, I started experimenting with drugs to help cope with the pain, and I ended up getting hooked on heroin. And that completely ruined my life, and I was near death at that point. I tried everything to get off of it. I hit rehab, methadone, but nothing really worked for me. So my mom found an ayahuasca treatment center on the internet and decided it was worth a shot, so she took me to Peru. We spent a month in the jungle, and I did a number of treatments while I was there, and to be honest, it wasn't very pleasant. The drink tasted awful, and I was sick and nauseous, basically puking my guts out everywhere. But once the drug kicked in, I remember having very lucid daydreams and memories, and it kind of took me back to when I was a child and when I was going through that abuse. But this time I didn't feel any fear or anger. It was more like calmness and a sense of relief, and really like a weight was being lifted off my shoulders. So to experience these horrible things from an adult's perspective kind of gave me new clarity, and somehow that helped me immediately lose my craving for heroin. And when I got home, I worked with a therapist, and we sorted out all these new feelings I had and perspectives from my treatments in Peru. And I sort of worked on some new coping mechanisms, and that worked for me. I don't know how, but after my first treatment in Peru, I never wanted to do heroin again. So I still had pain and had to sort all that out, but I no longer felt hopeless, and it gave me the courage to really deal with what I went through. So I've been sober for 3 years now, and it wouldn't have been possible without the ayahuasca.
Amazonian tribes have been using ayahuasca and other plant hallucinogens for over 4,000 years. We make ayahuasca by boiling together the bark of the Banisteropsis caapi plant with other plant substances. They contain DMT, and they slow the reception of neurotransmitters in the brain. In Peru, we'll sometimes add additional plants depending on why the patient's being treated, whether it's a medical, religious, or magical reason. Westerners caught on to ayahuasca in the 1800s when the British scientist Richard Spruce came to Brazil, and he collected samples of the drink and its plant ingredients. I like to begin the ayahuasca ceremony by discussing their intention with each participant. Many Westerners come out here for healing, whether it's a medical or a personal problem. I'll then give the participants ayahuasca, and while the medicine begins to work, I'll lead the group in chanting or singing. This is done traditionally for many reasons. First, to get rid of any negative energy or anticipation that the participant's feeling. Chanting also helps to facilitate purging. People will vomit while taking ayahuasca to cleanse themselves so they can fully embrace the healing properties of the plant. So participants generally spend between 2 and 4 hours in an altered state of consciousness, during which time they may experience visions, flashbacks, repressed memories, out-of-body experiences, and epiphanies. When the ayahuasca wears off, participants are often fatigued and they spend the rest of the day in quiet introspection.
In Peru, Dr. Gabor Mate has been invited to participate in a traditional ayahuasca ceremony. In the Amazon, they say that what matters most is not what's in the cup, but how it is served. Held in complete darkness, these ceremonies last the entire night and are overseen by traditional doctors. Ayahuasca creates a dreamlike state, often accompanied by intense nausea. Most people report revisiting the most significant events of their lives, like sequences in a chaotic film. The drinker is vaulted from one subconscious vision to the next, and as buried memories rise to the surface, it often leads to acute emotional catharsis.
Like when you're on a roller coaster and you're going up and down and you say to your stomach, you think, I'll never take this ride again. But that's not what I was left with. I was left with the exhilaration and the healing and the sheer joy of the experience.
This is a sacred Amazonian medicine, a very powerful medicine. And the power of plant healing comes from the body and mind connection. Ayahuasca hyperactivates the brain, where emotional memories are stored, and it awakens our true selves. So most significant memories, often the early traumas, are confronted and reevaluated. Patients emerge with new perspectives on the past experiences and patterns of behavior. They find it easier to quit habits because their body, mind, and spirit have now been reconditioned for healing. And this transformational healing is most profound when we combine traditional psychotherapy, communal living, detox diets, yoga, and meditation with a series of ayahuasca ceremonies. For example, of patients who complete the 9-month holistic treatment plan, 60% remain drug-free after 3 years. Where standard rehab centers in North America, the long-term success rate is only about 8%. 60%, that's significant. And we're also seeing tremendous benefit in the treatment of depression, anxiety, PTSD, and cancer. So I have no doubt that ayahuasca is a powerful medicine with great potential to be incorporated with Western ways of healing.
Ayahuasca tourism in South America is gaining in popularity among Canadians looking for alternate forms of spiritual and physical healing. For a travel professional looking to get involved with this niche, it is advisable to partner with a reputable shaman or retreat in South America. There have been reports of sinister and inexperienced shaman taking advantage of unsuspecting Westerners when they are most vulnerable, sometimes resulting in the traveler's death. However, if an agent is due diligent in their research, there is a lot of marketable potential. Retreat stays can last for varying lengths depending on the traveler's needs and wants, and facilities can range from jungle bungalows to luxury resorts. Ayahuasca therapies can also be combined with spa treatments, lifestyle workshops, volunteerism, and other quintessential Latin American experiences, such as Machu Picchu or Amazon River cruises. These tours can contain a lot of diversity, and inclusions can be tailored to fit the traveler's desires. Therefore, as this niche continues to gain momentum, the potential for profits only grows.